Hey folks, this is Parag, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how do you approach your real estate investment as a business. So the whole premise here is that you want to approach your real estate investing from a lens of a business that you're running. You are not doing it as a side project or it's not a hobby for you. So every decision you take, everything you do has to be thought about from a business perspective. Now, many of us get into real estate investing, or what I call it as an accidental landlord. So you already have a house or you inherited a place, and now due to market conditions or other reasons, you cannot sell it. So you decide to rent it out. And now when you're renting it out, you got a tenant in there, and you are basically treating it just as an extension to your existing place. So yeah, you're doing and taking care of it as you would as your personal home, and you just collect rent. So you just approach it like that. Now, if you want to do real estate investing the right way and you want to make sure that you are thinking from a business perspective, you have to start changing your approach, changing your way of thinking around it and your mindset. So some of the things you have to take care of is like, how am I going to run this business? What kind of profit I'm going to make out of it? And what does it look like when I exit this business? Like, for every property you buy, that is a separate business for you. It has a separate profit and loss account, and it has a separate way of looking at how much money you put in, how much money you're going to get out of it. So there are three main areas we need to start thinking when we talk about running it as a business. One, when you're actually looking for properties and buying them. Two, when you're trying to operationalize it, that is when you're running it as a business, the day-to-day way of approaching your tenant screening, where you're going to collect your rent, how you're going to increase your rent, and so on. And the third part is the exit strategy, when you're going to sell it or you're going to keep it and do a cash or refi or something like that. So let's go through each one of them in a little more detail. So the first thing obviously is when you're trying to buy a property. So when you get into the real estate investing, one of the things you have to ask yourself is like, what is so different and what is my competitive strategy of how am I adding value to what I'm doing? So what is the competitive advantage I'm bringing to this particular business? So we all come from different walks of life. We all come from different experiences. One of you might be very good at sales and marketing. So you might be very good at going and having an outreach, getting investors, and you might also be very good at basically putting a house on the market for tenants or even for selling. So you have your sales and marketing chops, you bring them and you leverage that skill. Some of you are very good on the technical side of it. So you might be very good from an analytical brain. You might be very good at looking at numbers and coming up with the best underwriting model, which will allow you to buy the best deals. Some of you might also be very good from a perspective of fixing things or running things, right? So you might be very good with HVAC, odds and ends, trying to figure out the best way to upgrade it. You might have general contracting skills. So you might bring that to the table. So it all depends on what your strengths are and what you feel comfortable to do. Now, for the things which are not very comfortable, you can either partner up or you might even go and outsource that part of the work to someone else. So you just have to find what are the areas you're good at and then take it from there. So when you start looking at properties, you might want to see, other than the money part of it or raising the money side, what are some of the things I'm very good at and what are some of the operations which I'm going to outsource. So you might be very good at identifying deals and funding deals, but you may not want to deal with the day-to-day hassle of working with your tenants and looking at all the maintenance requests which are coming in. So you might want to go and outsource that to a property manager. So you have to keep this in mind that you don't have to do everything on your own. That's why you have to find what you feel good at, you want to enjoy doing that, and the remaining part, you ask someone else to work on it. A very good colleague of mine once said that any problem which you can fix by paying someone money to fix it, it's not a problem, it's an expense. So have that mindset. When you have that mindset, every problem you can say, is it really a problem, a hindrance, or is it an expense? So a tenant calls me at 3 a.m. in the morning saying that my toilet is clogged, the proverbial issue which they all talk about when you think about real estate investing. So is it really a problem? Or if you have a property manager, or if you have a maintenance contract with a plumber who can go and take care of that clogged toilet, then it's not a problem. It's just an expense. And that's just one more entry in your underwriting spreadsheet where you start looking at your revenues and expenses. That's just an expense you show there. So that way, when you think from that particular mindset, you start able to see what are some of the things you can do and what are some of the things you might want to outsource to others, right? Hey folks, that was the end of part 1. Now you click next and watch part 2 of this episode. Thank you.